Welcome to the China Experience Show. My name is Brian Michael Galvin. Our guest today is Amy Lyons. She is known here in China as a Wan Hong, or a internet celebrity. Amy, thanks for coming.
Hi.
Yep. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, a little bit hot today, but
yeah, it is getting hotter in Beijing.
Yeah, so tell me a bit about yourself, your experience, your history. What made you come to China and to start working as a content producer here?
I think it all started in my last year of school. So I would have been like 17, 18, and I had a particular teacher. She was a history teacher, and she had this passion for Chinese history, and I guess it was really infectious. So after that segment of history that she taught us about China, I went on and started researching myself about it. I found it really interesting, and then when it came time to choosing majors for university, I thought it was never going to be a bad decision learning something like Chinese. So at the beginning for me, it was more of a strategic decision. I thought, oh, I want to learn a language. China is going to be huge in the future. You know, I've got a lot of Chinese friends, so it would be great to be able to talk with them. And I was going to do a business degree. So I thought business and Chinese is just like a match made in heaven. And then I started learning, and I loved it straight away. I loved being able to see the progression from you know, not recognizing any characters when I went into Chinatown, and then I could read one character, and then I could read 5, and then I could read the whole sign. And so I loved the progress, and I loved the challenge of it. But it wasn't until I lived in Shanghai for a year in 2014, I was an exchange student there at Fudan University, that I just fell in love with China, because you can learn the language and you can learn about it from home, but when you're here in the environment, you're really living it. And I found that it was just the perfect environment for me. And since then, I've just been pedal to the metal. I knew then that China is where I wanted to live, and I really wanted to do something in China, whatever it may be, and here I am.
Cool. Yeah, so you lived in Shanghai for about a year then, before going back to Australia, then coming back, right?
Yeah.
And then when you came back to China, you came to Beijing, or you were other places?
Beijing. So I've done a lot of travel in China. So I've been to like 25 provinces.
Wow.
So I've been all over, but wherever I've only ever lived in Shanghai and Beijing. So so 2014 I was in Shanghai. Then I went home for a couple of years to graduate, finish my degree, and as soon as I graduated, I just head straight back over to China. And yeah, I was in Beijing last year.
What do you think about the difference between living in Beijing and Shanghai?
Oh, there's a lot. And actually at the beginning, I didn't really like Beijing because I was really used to Shanghai. And I think the first place you live in China, you always love that more.
Yeah, it's like a reference point.
It is. Like, I know a lot of people that they did, you know, a year in Beijing and then a year in Shanghai. And I'd say 90% of them all say they prefer Beijing. So I think the city that you're used to, you're going to always prefer. So when I first came here, it wasn't what I had experienced in Shanghai. You know, it was all unfamiliar, and it wasn't as easy to get around. I find geographically Beijing is kind of a hard place to deal with. Like, it's everything is so spread out.
Yeah, sprawling kind of.
Yeah, like I was at school at Tsinghua, which is at like Wudaokou, and that's in the west, like northwest. And then if you want to go out to any of the cool bars, you've got to go like an hour and a half across the city. And then but I found that in Shanghai, when I lived there, everything was very central. Like, you know, you can, there's a real city center. So I missed that when I first came here. And I guess it took a while to kind of slowly get used to Beijing, because when you're living as a student, you kind of, your life is your campus. So I remember there were a couple of weeks where I didn't leave campus because everything is just there. You know, you can eat there, your friends are there, there are cafes there. So yeah, but then I think it was last half of last year that I really started exploring Beijing. And yeah, I don't know when it was, but I now I love Beijing more than I do Shanghai.
Really?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the people. I've made some really amazing friends along the way, a lot of amazing Chinese friends who I can go exploring with them, and they've really shown me sides of the city that I didn't know existed. Because I think with a city like Beijing, there are so many nooks and crannies, and you know, if you just go to the tourist sites, you're either going to be overwhelmed by tourists, or you're going to be getting a really inauthentic experience. But with them, I can go to, you know, the best biang-biang-mian in Beijing, or I can go find the cutest hutong. Or so yeah. Now now I guess I like Beijing.
It's kind of like, yeah, I might have had a similar experience. Like when I first came to China, I was living in Wuhan for about a year.
Oh, wow.
So central China, right?
Were you at the university there, or you were just living there?
No, I was just living there, working. And yeah, since it was my first time in China, like it was like a bit of a culture shock for me. But now that I've lived in Beijing longer, like about 2 or 3 years longer than that, I can see differences in not only the city, of course, which is quite different, but the culture, the people there as well.
Yeah.
And maybe what you're saying about Beijing's sprawling nature is kind of like there's so much more to explore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in the Wuhan, of course, you have maybe different cultural landscape, like in the city centers and hubs. But once you've been to the 3 or 4 main places, then you kind of have to settle for one or two things that you like, right? But in Beijing, there's always like a never-ending thing to find.
It's very true. Like, you have your home base. So now I'm living out at Chaoyang district, and I'm a bit far away from everything, but my immediate vicinity, like the area around the station and everything, like that becomes your city almost. Like that's your like your area, and then you can go on it's almost like Beijing is a country, and then you've got your Shuangqiao is my city, and then I can go on like day trips to like Hohai or like here or there. It's like,
well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because like there's so much places to go to in Beijing. It's so large that going to any place is like a day trip, because it takes hours to get there and hours to come back, right? I was just recently at the Strawberry Festival, which was like supposedly near Beijing, but it took 3 hours to get there by car. So that was quite of a hike.
I don't think that's in Beijing anymore.
I think it was mostly because of the traffic. But afterwards, when it came back,
Nice.
So tell me, how did you get into this content creation kind of environment then? Like what were the things that brought you there, and what made you want to continue being there?
A lot of things. I worked at a bank in Australia for 2-3 years while I was studying, and it was an amazing experience. And not many people who were concurrently doing a degree would have the opportunity to work, almost full time at a bank in a real job, not an internship, like a job. And so it was the job I had always pictured for myself, and something that I was always, working towards. And then I found that when I got in there and I was there in the environment, like I wasn't so happy. And it definitely is right for some people. Like it's a lot of people's dream job, but for me, like it just wasn't not just what I didn't think it was going to be. I think I just realized things about myself that kind of job wasn't suited to me, and I kind of reevaluated my passions, interests, and because people are always saying do what you love, but I'm like, I don't know what I love. All I really knew at that time is I loved being in China. I love being in China. I like public speaking and performing. I like being in front of a camera. I like talking and meeting with new people every day. I love speaking Chinese, and I loved fitness. I still do love fitness. So I was like, what's a job, what's a career, or a way I can make money or live in which I can combine all my passions together and just end up in a happier place? And I had a scholarship up my sleeve because I participated in a Chinese language competition a few years previously. And I was like, well, if there was ever a time just to test out if there were opportunities in China, this would be it. So I could choose any university in China I wanted for a year of studying Chinese language. And by that stage, my language had gotten a little bit rocky after being in Australia for 2 years. So I was like, let's go back. So as soon as I graduated, I head off to China. So I arrived January of last year, 2017. And when I arrived, it was never something that I was like, I'm going to go and like be a content creator or something. I think I just wanted to come and explore the opportunities. And then I arrived and I kind of made some friends that were making videos, and I was thinking, I can do this, and I like being creative, and I love editing my videos. All my videos are edited by myself. And yeah, so at the beginning, I started making exercise videos because I saw a gap in the market. Like China, like Australia and the West have so many fitness personalities, but and China also has a lot of fitness personalities and videos, but there's no, as far as I've found, I haven't never been able to find one, a foreigner doing fitness videos in China, speaking Chinese for a Chinese audience. Like they have a lot of the videos that are popular in the West that have been translated and are popular, but I kind of wanted to come from a different angle. So I made a series of videos, like I think my first 5 or 6 videos were all just fitness. And the one that really took off was one called Chopstick Legs, about like, I took the concept of chopsticks and everyone wants kwaizi-tui, which is like chopstick legs,
so
like thin legs, yes.
Yeah.
So I kind of played on that cultural element and made a workout video about how to get like toned and slim legs.
Do you think that chopstick legs is an idea that's mainly something that originates in China, or something that could be shared outside of China? Like,
I think like just the message of it is, it's just a workout video for legs at its essence. Like, I think the reason it works in China is because it's an expression. Like it's and that's what people want. They don't want muscular legs. As far as I've heard from my friends, they want thin skinny
legs.
Chopstick legs.
Yeah.
And it's like an expression, 快字腿, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard of it,
yeah. So I guess it would work in the West because it's like, I guess, kind of obviously Chinese. They would people in the West would look at it from like a, I don't know, an outsider viewpoint, like, oh, Chinese people like this kind of thing.
You could get chopstick legs without working out, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, like
I don't work out, but I'm pretty sure my legs are pretty thin.
You can make your own videos. Yeah, just teach them how to sit there and do nothing and get kwaizi-tui. Yeah, like at the end of the day, like doing the toned legs. Like at the end of the day, this workout isn't like specifically for like, in order to get kwaizi-tui, like chopstick legs, you need to like really not be eating anything, and you know, and it also depends on your genes and like your body disposition. But yeah, it was just a workout for legs, and I think the reason why it got popular because people are like, oh, I can do that.
And I think nowadays, from what I've seen, with the millennials in China accessing the internet more and more, they're more interested in health and fitness kind of topics and content. Like in the West, that's pretty normal. Like we think about it, it's a given. But maybe just as far back as 5 years ago, stuff like that, maybe those kind of type of content and videos, they didn't really. There were, of course, something like that, but
I think it's changing a lot. The landscape is always changing. Even more and more, there are healthy places popping up all over Beijing and big cities especially. And I've participated in quite a few like exercise festivals. Like I was recently at a Lorna Jane on the Great Wall event. So Lorna Jane is an Australian activewear company, and I was invited along to come and exercise with them. And there was a group of like maybe like 200, 300 Chinese women all there to exercise together. And I also know that yoga is becoming big, and like there are more and more people going to the gym. So I think that's where I saw the opportunity in the market. But then I kind of realized after doing these videos that like, while fitness is my passion, so is travel. And I was like, my videos already had a quirky edge. I didn't want my videos to just be like me doing a workout and that's it. Like all my videos have an introduction, like me doing something funny or introducing the concept and then getting into it. And I was like, the ideal situation would be for people to want to watch my videos for my personality and to see me rather than to get something out of a workout. And like, it doesn't restrict me in the future from doing, like every now and again I'll do an exercise video, but now I've evolved my image to be healthy lifestyle. So I've got like travel, fitness, health, healthy eating, it's just like fun, happy. And I think that's not going to restrict me in the future. Like I'm still building. I think it was a really good decision.
I saw you did a collaboration with another celebrity doing cooking.
Oh yeah.
That was quite funny.
So it's great in this industry because it is like a smaller pool of people, like Westerners doing social media in China. Like there's more and more every day, but you know, it's not like in the West where every second person is an Instagram model or is you know, doing something on social media. Here, like everyone kind of knows each other or knows of other people, and once you get into a little circle, like you can make friends and make videos and collaborations, which is good for growing your fans and also good just for like meeting someone else and hearing their experiences. And so it's been really good. I've made some of my best friends now actually in this industry doing what I'm doing, and it's really fun.
You mentioned that you focus on getting your audience hooked on on you, right?
Yeah.
Your personality, right? So do you cultivate an internet personality like someone the way you want them to perceive you? Is that different from the way you normally are, or is that something you specifically work on?
It's a little bit of both. Like I'm in general a very happy-go-lucky, go with the flow, smiley person. So in terms of that, like that's completely who I am, and what you see in my videos is pretty much what you're going to get. But I am aware of revving it up for the camera. Like for example, my Western social media, like my Instagram, I would never be posting the kind of photos or the videos that I'm posting to China social media, because I'm there on my China social media, we're like, "Hi, 大家好，我是来找大家的 Amy," like, like in the West, they'll just be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, too hyper.
It's too hyper, but for me, it's like a bit quirky, maybe a bit fun. Like, I don't know, it's worked for me so far, I think. But yeah, definitely in front of the camera, I'm more like, I'm here.
Right.
But you know, in real life, I'm still like crazy fun, happy, but I'm not like walking down the street like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like,
of course,
yeah, I tone it down.
You mentioned in one of your interviews online that one of the things that first got you into this industry was your exposure to a game show called the Chinese Bridge Competition.
Yeah.
What was that about? Like, what happened there?
I think a lot of influencers and Wang Hong from the West actually come through that show,
Really?
because it's a great thing. It was I was already studying Chinese for like 2-3 years in Australia, and it's well known in universities through the Confucius Institute. It's a competition that it's like public speaking competition in Chinese, getting foreigners from around the world to participate in this like game show vibe. So I made it through the Australian rounds and came over to be one of the Australian representatives in China, and I didn't realize it was going to be as big as it was. Like I kind of was just going with the flow with that, and suddenly I'm on TV in China, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, it was an amazing experience because I got a lot further than I thought I would. So out of like 150 contestants, I made it to the top 15, which is something I was not expecting, especially since at the time my Chinese was like, it's like, it was not good. It was like,
not as good as it is
I
now.
can perform, and I think that's what got me through, because I'm very comfortable on stage. Like I can really put on a performance, and but yeah, but it was a great experience because I kind of got a look behind the scenes at what goes on in Chinese TV, and it kind of like, because I learned about people going from this show and going on to, you know, making content and doing social media in China, it kind of like, it opened a door that I didn't know existed, and I don't think a lot of people know exists. Like, I think people in the West and in Australia, like in my circle, it's kind of like your life route is very much planned out for you from the day you're born. Yeah, like there are societal pressures everywhere. Like, and
your family?
No, not like my family's the best. I think it's just society. Like, you're born, you go to school, high school, you work hard to get into a good degree. You
9 to 5 job.
Yeah, 9 to 5 job, you know, have get a partner, have kids, become the soccer mom, like, you know, go traveling, like maybe every couple of years go on a nice trip, and like it's very much groomed for you, and it's a life that you can like get into. It's very easy to follow that life because
it's easy.
Like I had it. Like I could have gone from that bank job and stayed there, you know, met someone, settled down, gotten a mortgage. Like it was right there for me, but I don't know, I kind of went on this show, and when I went on the show, I was in the midst of doing that, and I was kind of like, wow, like, if I spoke Chinese really well, there's this environment here, like, I could come over, I love performing, like, why not? Like, why not have a foreigner on these shows, and why not become big in China making videos? Like, I think it was a really important experience for me just to realize opportunities that I didn't have to follow the cookie cutter life. Like I could really make something different for myself. Yeah, and something that was going to actually make me happy.
So that time after you finished the show, someone suggested that you should start like a Chinese social media account?
So on the show, that's when I started my Weibo account because I didn't realize when I went on the show, but like a lot of people watch this show. Like I think someone said 300 million people watch this show, but I still can't believe that statistic, and I don't know if that is actually true, but you know, there is a big population in China, so who knows. But anyway, like a lot of people were saying like you should start one now because you'll get some fans. So I started one actually after the show finished. which was probably silly, but I opened it and the next morning I had like 1,000 fans.
Really? So they were already looking for you, pretty much.
Yeah, like I don't even know how it worked. Like maybe they tagged me in one of their posts on the Weibo of the Chinese bridge competition. Like I don't know, but like I suddenly had the fans there, and you know I would post like a photo every now and again back in Australia. I wasn't engaging with the platform. Like it was just I had some fans there, and but yeah, I think it was just when I came back to China, came to Beijing, and I started making these videos that I actually really started engaging with those fans. And, you know, it wasn't like I was starting from scratch, but I already had an audience of 1,000 people, like.
Yeah, people who knew about you.
Who knew about me. So my videos were already coming up on people's platforms. So I think that was like a huge boost. A stepping stone. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I think one of the differences that the difficulties, let's say, in crossing the barrier between the Western kind of internet culture towards Chinese culture. First of all, is the language, right? And also, there's a lot of what people are used to seeing on Chinese social media is a lot different from the West, right? What is your experience? First of all, noticing the differences between those two kind of audiences, right? And what did you do to kind of, based on your knowledge of Western social media, what did you do to adapt that to this kind of environment?
Like, I'm still learning. I've only been doing this for a year and a bit, so I wouldn't say I'm any kind of expert on like Chinese social media, that's for sure. But there are so many differences between Chinese social media and Western social media. Like, it's almost a completely different landscape. Like, what's hot in China right now is not what's hot in the West. Like, in the West, we have like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Like, we have pretty solid platforms, and within those platform categories, there isn't competition. It's not like there are two Snapchats or kind of like competing Instagram platforms. But here in China, there's like 5 Instagram platforms. There's like 7 Facebooks. And now there's this big craze of short videos like Douyin, Kuaishou, Weishi.
It reminds me of Vines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a completely different, it's like a Vine on steroids. Yeah. Like you can, you know, do all these crazy effects, and it is kind of like Vine. It's like short 15-second videos, but like it's so huge here, but it's not at all big in the West. Like none of my friends are looking at these platforms or doing anything like it. So I don't know. And also I wouldn't call myself an influencer in Australia. Like I'm not, I don't utilize social media in Australia other than just to post the occasional picture. So in terms of like applying what I knew from the West and putting it in China, like it was all a bit of a guess and check, all a bit of trial and error, because I didn't really engage with anything like that in Australia. And actually, like, I'm not one that likes to overshare, but I just kind of realize it's the nature of the business. Like, I need to be posting a couple of selfies a day. Like,
yeah, that's normal here.
Nothing I would be doing in the West, but I kind of am learning as I go. And also, I learned that in China, there's a lot of like in Australia and in the West, there's a lot of hot topics. Like, and if you're not engaging with Chinese people, you don't have Chinese friends, or you're not watching Chinese TV, it's very hard for you to know what those trends are. And I think in being an influencer, you really need to be keeping up with the new trends. So like at the moment, there's this program, 这是街舞, like it's like street dancing show, and I should probably make a video about this street dancing show. Or like last year where 中国好嘻哈 or something like a Chinese rap, it was really cool. Like a couple of months ago, like you need to like go with the times.
With the flow here in China.
Yeah. Like you need to be making content, but also like taking in the trends.
Is that similar to like I'll just try to make a joke here, but is that similar to like the dancing grannies that we see around like the first show you mentioned?
Dancing grannies.
You know, have you seen that?
In China?
Yeah, in China. Yeah. There's a phenomenon where like these...
Yeah, Guanchangwu. Yeah.
You mentioned another show about dancing on the streets. Is that similar to that in any way?
I can't even remember the one you're talking about, me dancing on the streets.
No. The show that's popular, trending now in China.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. About dancing on the streets.
Yeah, no, it has no connection.
Yeah, that joke.
That joke.
Anyways, but what I see what's interesting about you is that you are like among a number of people in our generation that they're not content with just 9-to-5 jobs, the things that were standard in previous generations, right? They're seeking more of an adventure and that kind of stuff. And for me as well, like one of the things that that made me come to China was the search for adventure, right, and to find things that wouldn't be standard, right, and to try to adapt that into my life because you know, like you said, there's not much use to just living life out as people expect you to, and there's a whole world out there. You know, give it a shot, have a look, what's going on, and I think that's something that you take into advantage in your show. Like people see that that's what you're doing, and that's part of what makes it attractive for your audience, right?
Yeah.
That energy that you bring into the videos.
Yeah.
Right. And what about the other type of videos you see online? Do they have a similar kind of attitude towards life that you kind of embody?
Other videos online?
Yeah,
what videos?
other people, like other people creating content.
I don't know, like everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their own vibe.
So
like
what kind of content do you think that Chinese are seeking to see more in China? That
there's a lot of different kinds of content. Like I think you can't expect to be a foreigner and speak really good Chinese and that alone to be enough to make you big here. I think the age of the foreigner who can speak Chinese has passed. Now Chinese people are wanting to see people who are speaking Chinese, foreigners speaking Chinese, but interacting with their culture, you know, talking about the shows that they like and the sayings that they're saying. Like I think it's like it's a new wave of foreigners.
so they're bringing the foreign perspective to what they're doing, right? Not just being foreign.
Not necessarily even bringing the foreign perspective. Like I think it's just about interacting with Chinese culture and showing that you're interested and showing your effort to get into the Chinese culture. Not necessarily like like it's good to have a contrast about views, but also I think that time has passed as well. Like there was a big wave of like, what's a Chinese boyfriend compared to a Western boyfriend, or like Chinese food versus Australian food. Like all those videos, I don't know, I find them really like old.
Yeah.
Like it's been done.
Yeah.
So now what I'm wanting to do is like, I love Chinese culture. I am obsessed with tea, kung fu, like so many elements of Chinese culture that I love. So I really would just want to bring that through in my videos, like my love of the culture and the fact that I'm really like I'm making it my life's mission to study it and to learn about it. And it's not because I want money or deals, or it's just because it's my passion. And I think when that comes through, like whenever I posted a video about my experiences in China, like a real experience, it's not like for example, I recently went to a village and I stayed in the village for a couple of weeks, like real village life. It wasn't like a tourist town, it was a village in the middle of nowhere. And I interacted with the people, there was so much culture that came out of my time there. Like I learned Chinese instruments. I got to learn kung fu with one of like the masters of the town, and I learned history and tea culture. And it was like, whoa! Like you come to a village, you go out of your way, and you really get to learn so much. And that video got so much good engagement because people are like, oh, this foreigner, like they're not just living in Beijing or Shanghai, like they're going out of their way to learn.
I think it's you in that video you're talking about, which I saw as well. You had like you admitted an aura of like authenticity, right?
Yeah.
You were authentic of what you were trying to do and your experiences, and not just it wasn't something scripted, for example.
No,
it was something that you really enjoyed being part of there, and, witnessing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of strategy that's going into what I'm doing. Like I'm not sitting at home like, oh, like how do I get more fans? Oh, maybe I'll go to a village and make a video about a village life. Like I just do what I like to do, and if fans like that, great. Yeah. And so far, I think that people are liking what I'm doing. Like I can only follow what I love and what I want to do, and I think that when you're passionate about something, maybe that'll be infectious. So
it transmits into what you
I think the big key for me is not to focus on what other people are doing, just kind of do my own thing.
And you recently, speaking of that, like you went like traveling a lot in your videos. You recently went to a trip. You went to Kazakhstan, is that right?
Yeah, I just got back about a week ago. It was really great. I went there with one of my best friends who is also in this industry. He's a Wang Hong. He was big on a live streaming platform. And he is making a travel show doing the Silk Road. So I joined them for a couple of weeks just for the Kazakhstan bit because I had some free time. And yeah, it was great. So I went along. I made a lot of content. I made like 3 videos of my time there. And it was interesting, an interesting culture, and not at all what I was expecting. But yeah, it's great that I can travel, shoot videos, and I can have this as a life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the thing you liked most about Kazakhstan though? Like, was it the food, the culture, the environment?
No, I don't think it was the food.
Because like most people, when they think about Kazakhstan, they're not really sure. Like they know about it,
I'd
but
say
they
it
know
was
too much of it.
for food. It would just be like Xinjiang food,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that kind of
So kind of
meat,
spicy
potatoes,
food.
not spicy,
Oh.
meat, potatoes. Because Xinjiang isn't so spicy. It's more like heavy food.
Flavored.
Flavored. It's
Yeah.
very flavored, but I wouldn't say it's like a Sichuan kind of spicy town.
Right.
It's not spicy. The people, interesting because they all have a different look, but they're all considered to be locals. Like there are people you'll pass that look like you or I, but then there'll be someone that looks Arabic and then someone who looks Chinese, but they're all locals. And it was really funny actually because there are a lot of Chinese looking people there, and you'd go up to them and think they can understand you if you go and speak to them in Chinese. And then when they look at you like, what are you talking about? It's so weird going to talk to someone who looks Chinese and they don't understand you. What I loved most about Kazakhstan was the landscape. It was just so beautiful, and I think the advantage of going to Kazakhstan to see these things is there weren't many tourists. Like even one of the locations I went to, if that was in China, there would be like tourists everywhere flocking it and kind of ruining it, like ruining the vibes. But because it was in Kazakhstan and there aren't many tourists, like I saw some amazing things and I was like, whoa, where are the tourists? Like it's too beautiful for just me to be here. Like.
And so what was the perception? So you're working on the videos now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about the colleague you went with? What was his take on traveling there, and why choose Kazakhstan? Why like not another different country, for example, like that?
Well, it's the Silk Road.
Along the Silk Road.
Silk Road goes to all these countries. So he wasn't
There's
just
so many
going to
countries
Kazakhstan.
through the Silk Road. Like
He's going to all of them. I just went to one.
Even the one along like the ocean parts.
He's going like he's doing the road through East Asia into Europe. Like at the end of the entire thing. And yes, there is the ocean route, but at the end of the day, there's only so much time and money that one can spend on a travel show. So obviously, he's not going to be going everywhere. But you know, he started in Xi'an, going through into Gansu, Xinjiang. Then we went to Kazakhstan, and then after that, he's going to Georgia. He's going to do a couple of the other stands, but then into Georgia, Turkey, and then make his way up into Europe. So I think it's still pretty good. Good effort.
His show is mainly focused towards the Chinese audience, or to the Western
Chinese audience. Yeah.
What is well, I know you can't speak for him, but what do you think the Chinese people's perception of the Belt and Road is, and that kind of project, like going through there? Like, was it videos, the live streaming videos he did of the project, was that well received?
He didn't do any live streaming on the route.
Okay.
None of the videos have been released yet, so I don't know how it's going to be received.
Yeah, because from what I know, the project, the Silk Road Belt and Road project, is popular in China. Like people think of it as a good economic incentive to go and you know, expand the influence. But outside of China, for example, it's not very well known. So it's not something that maybe people back home would react to or perceive as something like, you know, interesting at all.
Well, the thing is that the video wasn't to do with One Belt, One Road. The video was the Silk Road, and I think most people would know what the Silk Road is. It's not really it wasn't anything to do with. It's Silk Road is no. Yeah. It's not a political thing. It was just the Silk Road is a well-established travel route that was there way before One Belt, One Road policy came in. So
yeah. So did you guys did you explore the cultural aspect of it, or just the economic aspect of it, the historical thing?
Everything. Like there'll be lots of different parts to it. Like there'll be like people, the culture, the food, the housing. Like they'll be kind of talking about, you know, the experience traveling there. Okay. It's just at its essence, it's a fun travel show. Okay. Nothing too political, nothing too like. Yeah.
Okay. And how was that compared to your other trips to like Australia, for example? Like I saw you went to Cairns recently.
Yeah.
And you did some traveling around that part of Australia. Like,
yeah.
How was that like, and the reception you received in China?
It was good. Like I love Australia, and I love being able to be an ambassador for my country. And I'd never been to Cairns before, and I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to travel up there, and I got to travel a bit of it with my dad and really see the best of what Cairns had to offer. So yeah, that was amazing. I produce a lot of content for that. Every day I would go out, do activities, and then every night in real time, I would edit the videos and upload them. So I'd never done that before, like go to a place and then the night
just
upload it. So really, the content was so fresh. Like I was uploading content as it happened.
Right.
So yeah, that was really, really cool. And it was really well received. And I occasionally get a photo from people being like, I'm here in Cairns because, you know, doing this thing. I'm at this zoo that you went to. Like,
so you're inspiring them to travel there and everything.
I don't know, like whether it's inspiring or it's giving people ideas, like, I don't know. I think that if I think a place is nice, I want to share it with people. And if they find it interesting, like maybe they're looking for a trip to Australia soon, because there are a lot of Chinese that are coming to Australia. And I guess what I want to do is just show some cool places. And if they're interested, they can always contact me for more information. And
How does it feel like then, since you started pretty much recently, like a year and a half ago, right? For you personally to see yourself as an influencer in that sense, like how is that changing you?
I still don't think of myself as an influencer, like.
Well, like just in the sense you gave
no,
example,
I know,
like,
but that's the thing. Like, I don't really self-reflect on that because I still like. It's hard for me to believe that people are watching my videos and the amount of people that are watching my videos. Like, I have videos that have had more than 3 million views. And for me, it's just a number on the screen. But if I start thinking about the fact that 3 million people have seen this content, like, and that's just on one of the videos. Like, I think I did a tally of across all my platforms, the amount of people that have seen my content. And it's like more than 10 million views total of my videos across my platforms. And I'm like, 10 million people have seen my face. And I don't know, I don't really think about it that much because I think it's important to stay humble. And yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and not really think too much about myself as an influencer. But like, I don't really care too much about the views or the likes and stuff. The thing that really touches me is when someone contacts me and is like, because of you, I've decided to fulfill my dream of going to Australia and studying there, or because of you, I've lost 20 pounds, or because of you, I'm here doing this because you suggested it. Like, that really makes me happy, the fact that I can actually do some good on the world. And I look back to my life 2 years ago and I don't really know what kind of impact I was having on the world then, like writing Excel spreadsheets and giving a PowerPoint to a manager. Like, what was I doing? Like, now, even if it's only a few people that are actually touched or actually influenced by what I'm doing, like, it feels great that I've even for maybe 3 people or 4 people, like who knows how many people have actually been influenced by what I'm doing. And I don't want to be influencing, like I want to be influencing in a good way, like making people happy. Like, even if it's just watching this video made me happy today, like awesome. Like, I can see I've made a difference in someone's life, which is great.
So you mentioned like how you receive these mails, these fan mail, for example. What other sort of interactions have you had with your fans or people watching your videos?
I have a fan group. So every day I interact with them on Weibo. It's got about 100 people in it. So it's a small little group, but they're like probably my more hardcore fans. Not hard, like they're the ones who want to interact with me. So I talk with them every day, just like fun little topics, like what did you do today? And
so via text, the kind of stuff, questions, or like do you make a short videos of that?
No. It's like it's just literally it's a group, like a WeChat group.
Okay, like a WeChat group.
So it's not a separate platform where I'm making videos for them. Like, it's just like, hey, what are you doing today, Amy? Good. I'm like having some dinner and I'm gonna go to the movies later. Like, it's really informal, but I love being able to really interact. I used to do a lot of live streaming on a platform called Meipai, and that's where most of my followers are. I have 80,000 followers on that platform, and I liked live streaming because it was so real time. Like, I could be here in my kitchen with my screen and people could be asking me a question and I can answer it in real time. So I really love that interaction. Yeah,
it's much more direct in a sense than just a delayed from texting or giving a message. Like that.
So that's great. But live streaming is hard. It's like, it can get pretty boring, actually, to be honest. Like, so I don't do much of it anymore because there's only so many times I can answer the same questions. Who are you? Where are you from? Do you have a boyfriend? Like,
you might want to put like an FAQ page.
I did. Sometimes I just had like a blackboard behind me and I'm like, my name is Amy. I'm from Australia. I do not have a boyfriend. And then ask me some more questions. But, you know, I think that's the nature of live streaming, especially as a foreigner, because there was always going to be new people entering the room and being like, who are you? Where are you from? Do you have a boyfriend? Like,
Exactly.
it's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because there is a growing different types of social media content that is becoming more popular in China. For example, I was reading like last year, I think, a new phenomenon related to live streaming that was becoming popular in northern parts of China and in Korea especially, where you would get these internet celebrities as well, such as yourself. But what they would do is they would live stream their entire, pretty much, day, for example. So they would live stream themselves eating food like lunch or having dinner or just going outside shopping. Like, what do you think of that? Like, when I heard of that, I thought that was too much, right? But for them, what the reason why it was popular was because they were reaching to a segment of the population. Maybe the demographic was a bit weird, perhaps, but it was like lonely men, for example, that were watching these videos of these celebrities doing these things. Like, what do you think of that? Like, what other type of trending kind of contents do you see happening in China that's unique?
Well, I think you've said it. Like, the reason why that content is popular is because there are lonely people out there.
Yeah.
And like, some of my most popular live streams that I did in the time were ones where I was eating. And at the time I was like, who wants to watch this? But like, I can totally see why. Like, and it totally makes sense. If you're lonely, you don't have too many friends, you feel a bit like an outsider, you can go to these platforms, people are eating, you can eat with them, you can ask them questions, they can validate your voice. Like, you can speak and you can be heard. So I think it's a great way of interaction. I'm not so skeptical about it. I don't look down at it like, oh my gosh, this girl, she's just eating and she's got like 1 million people watching her. Like, I can get it. And it's a big, China is big. So whatever niche there is, there's going to be like 1 million people doing that niche. So, but now, I don't know if it's just me that's noticing this, but I feel like live streaming is a bit last year.
Really?
So now it's, as I said, the new trend is now being replaced by short videos like Douyin. People like these short 15-second videos that people are like flicking through. Like, every day I spend like an hour flicking through like these cute videos that people are doing, and there's like an endless supply of them because anyone can be the influencer. Like, you can upload a video of yourself taking photos and people can watch that, and it's like, it sort of blurs the line between the Wang Hong and the people, because the people, they're making the content, and I think it's great.
It's more grassroots kind of thing.
Yeah, but obviously there are celebrities doing it that have many fans.
I think the reason why, in my opinion, is because it's so easy to make short video as opposed to making a longer video. You have to focus, find the content, find the topic, and blah blah blah, spend the time. Whereas a lot of the videos, I've seen some of the examples. They're just people doing random stuff. A lot of them, maybe they're not so interesting, but the algorithms sort the ones that are good, right? So a lot of the ones that are popular maybe are people who just randomly happen to find something that strikes a chord with the audience and that kind of stuff. So it's about that's similar to what happened with Vines as well, though. And Vines were a bit more scripted in a sense.
I think there's a whole lot of content happening on Douyin and these 15-second videos. Like, of course, there are going to be people that are just videoing the floor or something stupid. Like, but yeah, the algorithm, like, when I've been on there, I can be on there for an hour and I'm scrolling, and every video is funny. Every video is interesting. It has something different about it, whether that be a cute dance or a cute puppy or a cute, like, something happening that's new and different. And and then there can be like trends, like this particular dance, like this boppy boppy woo, like it's and then everyone is making this same, I don't know, I think it's a great community and I think it's really fun. And there are definitely videos that are more scripted on it. There's a whole range. Like, I wouldn't even compare it to Vine because it's like, it's just so different, the vibe of it. Like, Vine videos, I feel, were like a lot more scripted, like a little situation and something funny happened, but in this, like, it can just be like me here with this, like, and then suddenly everyone will be doing that tomorrow. Like, who knows?
It's interesting how the trends just like you said, like something simple, relatively like that, can just catch on so quickly and spread throughout a large number of people, because these platforms, like you're saying, have millions of people following them. Right? And it's so weird because we, at least in the West, I tend to consider like social media to be a global sort of thing, right? But China has such a large population that all of this can happen in a closed system, more or less, right?
Yeah, it's its own ecosystem,
But
totally.
it's still millions of people accessing and influencing and doing their own kind of stuff like that. So
like it's only in China that people are using these platforms. I don't know, maybe in like Korea or Japan there are people watching Douyin or something, but it's completely its own ecosystem. Whereas with Instagram, Facebook stuff, like it is global.
Do you think that that these kind of platforms will find a way to maybe break out of China? Maybe, of course, the language is a huge barrier towards that happening, right? The language issue, but I've seen some of the videos, for example, that you mentioned on Douyin, and I think that they have potential to maybe not only be emulated, but maybe even have an audience outside of China, not just for like the diaspora, but even normal people.
I think that if any platform is going to do it and go global, it would be something like Douyin. Like it's just fun videos, and if people can get enjoyment out of that, yeah, who knows?
Okay, so tell me a bit more about your long-term plans for your program, your ideas for what to do in the future.
Well, I'm just going to keep traveling. I want to keep interacting with Chinese culture. I really want to. I've been working on something for a while. I want to make a tea documentary.
Tea documentary.
Yeah, travel around China, inviting my friends, drinking tea. And that's something I've been wanting to do for a while. So that's in the works at the moment, something I've been working on. But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to keep making interesting content. Yeah.
So what's the next place you're going to travel to?
I am going to Chengdu tomorrow. So I'm going to be there for a week. And then I'm going to Korea for a couple of days. And then I'm going to be going to Inner Mongolia. And then I'm going to be going back to Australia for a few weeks, and then I'm going to go to America, and then from there I haven't decided. So I have the next like month and a half, 2 months planned out.
Sounds pretty hectic though. Like, how do you feel with that? Like all these travel kind of arrangements?
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I think you can always travel as long as you have like your rest days and time to relax. Go is never going to work long term, but it does get tiring living out of a suitcase. So it's good to know that I have a base in Beijing and I have a base in Australia. So I always have somewhere to come back to. So I can go to Chengdu for a week, but I have my base in Beijing where my things can be, and same in Australia. So
okay. And when you go to these places, like, do you have something planned out, or just gonna go there and see what it
depends.
Goes?
Like, all of those trips that I mentioned are for different purposes. Like the trip to Chengdu is with my Chinese friends, and we're going there to shoot some interesting content about tea. And then my trip to Korea is simply just a birthday trip. I want to go to Korea. And then in Mongolia, I'm going there to film with a friend, another Wang Hong friend, a workout series. And then Australia, I'm going to be doing a speaking at a conference. So it really depends. Like the purpose of each trip is different. But I just count myself so lucky to be able to travel the world, do what I love to do, and meet people, and that this can be like my career. I guess. Yeah.
So tell me more about the tea documentary then. Like, so you're going to Chengdu for this, and what exactly motivates you to make a documentary? Like, it's gonna be like an hour long, something like that, or how long it's gonna be?
I want to make a lot of like a series, maybe like 10 parts. Every video.
For different type of teas. Depends.
I'm still working out on the concept, so it's still being brought together. But basically, it's just fueled by my love of tea. And I find it extremely interesting. And I think through tea, you can learn a lot about China, about the culture. And I think especially traveling to seek out teas, you can learn a lot. So we're going to Chengdu to a mountain called Qingchengshan. I think that's the right way of calling it. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, Qingchengshan. They have a really nice tea there that I love. So I'm, for example, going to go there, talk to locals, see how it's picked, see how it's made. But do it in kind of a fun, interesting way.
Is that your first time then to actually go there and to pick the tea and
No, I've done it in a few places. I've done this similar thing with, I was recently at Wuishan, and they're known for da hong pao and ro gui. So they're two types of Wu Yan cha. So they're like pressed teas. So da hong pao is one of my favorite teas. So I went there for a couple of weeks and just like drank tea, learned all about how it's made, the stories behind it, how to brew it. So yeah, I love learning how to brew different types of tea because it's just such a like tea culture in China is just so different. It's not just a beverage where you're just like, here's my cup, here's my tea bag, like hot water, let's go, let's drink it. It's more, it's an experience. Like you can sit there with your gaiwa and like
arrange
it, and it's a ceremony. But even like if I don't have people around, I love doing it. Like my routine is I'll wake up. My housemates, they get up at like 11 a.m. because they're staying up so late. They're crazy. So I have like the first 3 hours of the day by myself, and I'm just like, I make the teas. It's like, what? Oh, okay. I'm going to make a long ding now. So how do I make that? I'm going to use my boli bay. I'm going to.
Well, it sounds like you'd be interested in like the Japanese tea ceremonies. Have you been?
Yeah. Like I've been to Japan quite a few times. I love matcha and stuff, but for me, I'm so interested in China and Chinese culture. So I've got to walk before I can run. So I'm at the moment I'm completely engrossed in the Chinese tea culture. It's not really a time for me to branch out yet.
Yeah. The way I drink tea is pretty normally like just tea bag and then some milk and sugar.
That's
like that's it.
great. Like everyone has, and the thing that I want to make this tea documentary about is that everyone has different tea stories. Everyone has a different way of consuming their tea. I've just found a way that I love, and I'm just getting into the cultural stuff about Chinese tea. So,
do you drink it without like anything, just the tea itself? Or?
Yeah, of course. Like Chinese tea, you don't add milk, you don't add sugar. Like it's like a tea connoisseurs of China. The idea of adding sugar to something, even me thinking of like adding sugar to the cup of tea, I'm like,
that's
oh
what
my
I would do.
God.
I would get green tea and put some sugar in
No,
there. But,
no.
don't tell anyone.
Like because there are just so many different types of, even just green tea. Like the difference between a huangsheng maofeng and a sihu longjing and there's just so many different flavors. And I guess if this is the first time you're trying this and this is going to taste the same, but they have so many different subtleties and sweetnesses and like every
so
like
you have
different
a very
flavors
palate to taste out the
for
differences.
teas.
That kind of stuff,
Like some people love wine. I'm not a wine girl. I don't drink alcohol, but there are people who can taste the year that this was made or like the vineyard that it was from. For me, like, and I'm still on my tea journey, so I'm like a novice still, but I can definitely tell you the difference between different types of green teas and whether it's, like the area that it's from, like it's...
What's your favorite and for what reason?
Oh, different times of the day I have different types of teas. So in the morning I drink green tea exclusively to wake up, tishan. And then during the middle of the day I will drink what takes my fancy. So if it was today I'd have a oolong. So oolong is good for the middle of the day, I think.
Why is that? Because
it's like half fermented, like it's ban fa jiao, I think they call it. Is that right? Ban fa jiao. Anyway, so it's like it doesn't have so much caffeine in it. Like so green tea is not fermented at all. It's like it's just it's just basically the leaves dried. And then you're ready to drink it. But with oolong, it's like goes through half the fermentation process, and then black tea goes through the whole process. So at night, I drink black tea. Actually, in the West, my mum would always say, don't drink black tea before bed because it has the most caffeine. But I've learnt here that actually don't drink green tea before bed because that's going to wake you up. So my housemates and one of my housemates in particular, we have this love of tea, and she's Chinese and she's like 35 and she's been doing it her whole life. So she's teaching me so much. And she's like, don't drink green tea before bed. Like you've got to drink black tea. So I'll drink my da hong pao for bed. So I think my favorite of the categories, like for green tea, my favorite has always and will probably always will be longting. I think it has such a complex flavor and it has a sweetness and grassiness and there's just so much depth in it. And I love preparing it, and also it looks beautiful when you prepare it because the leaves kind of dance. And then, there's just so many that I love.
Do you have your own like tea bottle you carry around with you, like
Yeah.
in China?
Oh yeah. Wherever I travel in the world, I have like a travel like thermos, and that I can prepare tea in, and I have my little cup that I pour it into. So wherever I am, I'm drinking tea. And if I'm traveling, I also have like a tea table, so I can like. Recently, when I was in Kazakhstan, I brought my my gaiwa. I don't know how to translate it. It's like a cup, and then it has like a like a cup, and then it has like a cover on the cup, and it has like a little, and then
Like a
you can
saucer?
brew tea in it. Yeah, a saucer,
Okay.
and you can brew tea in that. So you put the tea leaves in, you add the hot water, and then you like use it in such a way that you.
Okay.
So I don't even know, but so I brought that with me with the tea table, so that I could like prepare tea like I would at home.
Yep.
But I have like a mini little travel version. I don't know. I just really love it. And then when you go to different areas of the world, they all have different tea cultures. And I love seeing how that has originated from China. So I like to see the progression of like, where has this tea come from? Like, why is this tea now here? What was the trading route back in the day? So, and the fact that people enjoy tea differently from how I do, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah, you can learn from what they're doing as
exactly.
well. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
And everyone has a different story about tea, like how they.
Well, it has such a big impact on history as well. Like,
There were wars fought over it.
Yeah. So, well, I can see you're very passionate about tea.
Yeah,
so,
that's saying that's it. Yeah, in the
I'm sure your documentary will be also very popular in China. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a look at it too.
And also in the West, like I think it would be. I think I'm also aiming the show to have a Western audience.
So you're gonna put subtitles in it, or you're gonna speaking in Chinese or in English, or
but half and half.
Okay.
Because I want to invite some of my friends along.
Okay.
So in those bits it will be in English, and then the bits where I'm with locals will be in Chinese. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me a bit about your experience or other people's experience with monetization in China, because I imagine it must be different here in China than it is in the West. Like, how does that work here?
So I don't make any money in China. It's not something that I don't work with Chinese brands. I work with Australian brands. So and also I'm Australian, so I can earn money in Australia, and that's fine. I'm wary about I don't earn any money in China. So back home, I think it's very organic because I'm Australian. I look Australian. I can speak Chinese, and I have a Chinese audience. So I think it's like a good idea for brands for me to be promoting the Australian brands in China. So so far the only monetization that I've had is from selling Australian products in China, or like promoting Australian products in China. So as far as monetization goes, that's all I've really been doing for it. So everything I do, everything I've made money off has only come from Australia. But I know that there are a lot of Wang Hong and internet celebrities making an absolute fortune in China on these live streaming apps. I didn't get to the stage where I was making money on live streaming, but I know people making like a crazy amount.
Because you can send like tips and gifts through these live streaming apps, right? So that's quite a popular way for them to get money, right?
Yeah.
But also like through advertising and stuff like that, like within China.
Yeah, like you can definitely work with Chinese brands, like say like, oh, the Chinese water brand. Like if you make a video and there's gonna be 2 million people watching this video, can you sip my bottle of water? Like, I haven't done it personally. I'm not at that stage yet. Like my fans, I have like just a little over 100,000 fans in total. So I'm still new. Like, who knows how it's gonna work for me in the future.
And would you consider your position in the market like something to be a bit more unique, or like you mentioned before that there are more and more foreigners that are doing what you're doing nowadays? How do you see yourself in the market?
To be honest, I don't really pay attention to what other people are doing too much. Like I kind of just do my own thing. At the moment, I feel like I'm unique. Like I'm in Australia. There aren't many Australian internet like influencers in China. I can count on one hand probably the big ones, and I know most of them. So I think I think what I'm doing is unique. Like I'm just loving my China life, speaking Chinese. But as I said, like just speaking Chinese isn't enough anymore. But I think everyone in what they do is unique. Like, and especially in the foreigners here, like there are some foreigners that are funny, there are some foreigners that are serious and they talk like serious topics, or some foreigners that are, have amazing Chinese, and like everyone, I think everyone is different. So it's not like I'm going out of my way to see who's making what videos that are similar to what I do. Like, I don't know, I just do what I want to do.
Have you thought about like expanding into virtual reality?
No. Haven't even thought about it, no.
Like you were saying that the live streaming is already kind of old, right? So maybe the next big step, in my opinion, is going to be, getting like a virtual reality set so that your fans are kind of almost there with you while you're doing some kind of content.
Probably is going to be like that.
Yeah, but I think probably in the next 5 or 10 years.
Yeah,
Right now.
when everyone has like a headset, or at the moment.
The headsets are all kind of, lackluster, that kind of stuff. But yeah. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug in some of your platforms, like where
Sure.
can the fans find you?
So I'm on YouTube. So if you're from a Western audience, you can find me there. I have like 5 fans. So come subscribe.
I'll be one of your fans.
Yeah, thank you. So my name on YouTube is just Amy Lyons, AMYLYONS.
Yep.
There's probably a billion other Amy Lionses, but if you really want to follow me, you'll find me.
Like you were the first one to pop up. So.
Oh, on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Oh, that's really good to know. And then on my Chinese platforms, my username for all of them is the same. It's, maybe you can add it in a little link right here after this has been edited.
Yep.
It's just Lǐ Huìlín,
Okay.
Amy. So that's my Chinese username. And on all the platforms, that's my name. So you can find me pretty much anywhere using that name. Otherwise, you can just Google my name and I'll pop up somewhere.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good luck with your videos, and I'm looking forward to your tea documentary.
So am I.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.